Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome into a Friday night here at 270 Weather. We'll get to the forecast here in a minute because we're going to talk about not only what a great weekend weather wise this is going to be, but also look down the road to maybe finding some tropical moisture. It's iffy right now, but it's a possibility, which I will speak about in just a moment. Right now, a word from our sponsor, R&R Controls. Now, Barry Connolly was telling me about a company, and I won't reveal their name because I think it would embarrass them. A company that he hooked up with, and they wanted him to come out and do some preventative maintenance on their generators. Because as you know, R&R Controls deals with generators as well as HVAC services and automation and installation and renovation, duct work, the whole thing. But this in particular, was about generators. So they said, come out, take a look, and see what we need. Well, when he looked at their generators, these generators had been running for years without maintenance, without, you know, filter changes, without, checking the motors, without checking the lines, and without just making sure that those things would kick in and run. That's what they're supposed to do as soon as you lose power. So think about it. This wasn't a house, this was a business. And apparently, they hadn't lost power enough to make them send up that red flag and go, oh, we better call somebody because what if this happens again and they don't work? They're lucky that they have continued to work and do what they're supposed to do. But Barry and his crew got in there and did some maintenance, preventative maintenance, and to make sure that those things are going to stay up and running without fail. Because as soon as the power goes off, those things within seconds kick in, unless you haven't taken care of them and you haven't called R&R Controls to come out and do preventative maintenance on your generator. It may not work when you want it to. And can you predict when the next time the power is going to go off in your home or your business where you make money and you're responsible for paychecks and all of that? No, not even I can predict that. I can predict the weather, but I can't predict when you're going to lose power. So call R&R Controls. If not this weekend, there may be somebody there tomorrow on Saturday, but Monday at least, and make an appointment. If you've got generators and this story relates to you where you're like, you know what? I haven't had my generators checked in years. I wonder if they will still work when I need it. Call them. They'll set up an appointment and they'll come and take a look and get you back on track. 270 777 2024. R&R Controls 270 777 2024. With R&R Controls, you'll never be without. Guaranteed. Your 270 weather for this weekend and a Friday night in 30 seconds. Welcome in, everybody, on this Friday night. Chris Allen with your 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Here is the weekend, and it looks like a good one. We caught up on rain. Everything is looking much better. Now, most of the burn bans have been lifted. There's still, like, Warren County has a little caveat with its burn ban because we are so close to the statewide autumn burn ban. It will go into effect next week on the 1st, October 1st. So Warren County's burn ban is conditional. It's, one of those things where we're all going to go under a burn ban starting October 1st, regardless of how much water we've had, how much rain we've had. So if you've got to get some burning done, you've got this next week, and I mean a week, a solid week of dry weather that I can see coming up. So get it done, but use caution. Be sure and call. If you're going to do a control burn, here is a rule of thumb. Always call your local fire department. Tell them that you're going to do what's called a control burn. A control burn is where you're out burning brush, burning wood, burning whatever, but you're controlling it. You're keeping an eye on it. You've got fresh water next to it to put out a fire if it starts to spread. You've got a shovel where you can throw dirt on it, and before it gets out of hand, you can, muffle it down and put it out. That's a control burn. But you need to call your local fire department to do that. I don't care if it's a city fire department, county fire department, or a volunteer fire department in your community. Whoever comes, if your house was to catch on fire, that's who you would call and just say, look, I just want you to know that this afternoon I'm going to do a control burn in my field or next to my house. And I want you to know. You know what that does? That puts you there in their mind and probably on a list where they have their guys and gals ready to roll if something gets out of hand. They don't want to go into a fire not knowing what's going on. Now, a lot of times that's what they're trained to do, and that's what they do. They do something that many of the rest of us would not do. But I have a lot of friends on volunteer fire departments, rescue squads, and other fire and police departments and first responders. And this is something that I've learned through the years. Call your fire department and tell them you're going to do a control burn. It saves time and it may save lives. I'm not kidding. Don't just start a fire and let it go, because if it gets out of hand, that's a problem. Now, if it gets out of hand and you've told them that it's a control burn, and then the wind certainly picks it up or suddenly picks it up, and they at least know from looking at your phone call earlier. They know the location. They know where to go. Because if something gets out of hand, you get into panic mode. You're not going to be able to talk on the phone. You're going to be like, oh, wait, you just know there's a fire and I just need you to get. See, that's not good. Let's do our brave firefighters a service as they're doing a service to us, and let them know you're doing a burn. It's not hard. It takes a few seconds. They'll ask you what time you're going to start it, what time you think it'll be done. They'll even tell you, make sure you stand out there and watch it. But don't set it and then leave it. You got to let them know. Okay, enough preaching about fires and all that. But it's one of those things this time of the year we have to pay attention to. Today's high, 82 degrees. 2 degrees above the normal of 80 and a low of 57. A nice, cool 57 this morning with all that dense fog. I think we could have some dense fog again tomorrow morning. No rainfall today, but over the past several days since Sunday, we have picked up 3.66 inches of rain total here in Bowling Green, right here at the airport. That is phenomenal, and we needed it. Look at radar. Nothing showing here. This is all just ground clutter. And early in the morning, when you see this, what we call a bloom effect, where it just looks like everything is blooming, it's not rain, it is birds. There are millions of birds in migration right now in this part of the country. So when you see a lot of that activity, that scatter on radar, especially early in the morning, it's birds and some bugs, but mostly birds. Here's a look at the Kentucky Mesonet Network here at 7 p.m. on the dot. 71 at the Corvette plant, 73 Western Zag Expo Center, 67 in Morgantown, 68 Russellville, 66 in Elkton, 66 up in Litchfield, 72 in Munfordville, 70 in Glasgow, 71 Scottsville, 71 Tompkinsville, 72 in Edmonton, so forth and so on. Very pleasant temperatures. Past 24 hours, zero, zip, nada. For the first time in, well, since Sunday, no rain, except for this little bit right here. And this came in just a little bit after midnight, early this morning, down toward Albany, Clinton County. The locals there say Albany. You may know it as Albany, but it's Albany. 0.08 of an inch of rain. That's it. That is it. And we're done. We're done with the rain for a while, but it's okay. We caught up. And it's going to be okay that we have some dry days ahead. Winds right now coming out of the north, and they are light. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at what's coming down the road as far as rainfall. And as you can see, not much. We're going to go into another dry spell, but this time it is not going to be a big time drought. It's going to be dry, yes, but it's not going to be so long before we see the next chance of rain that it's going to get worse. So that's some good news. Now look at all this moisture. Look at all this on the East Coast. Part of this is an upper low that's over the Carolinas, but some of this is taking into account what could become Tropical Storm Imelda or even Hurricane Imelda, depending on how strong it gets. It is due in maybe to the Carolina coastline by Monday. And that's going to bring the Carolinas and the Virginias, maybe even Georgia, or possibly even a little sliver of Florida, some heavy rain. Will any of that rain spill over into Kentucky? That's a good question. It's a possibility. We'll talk about it here in a moment because it is. It's kind of out there as a possibility. All right, let's talk about the systems that are out in the Atlantic. So we have Umberto. Now, when you say this, when you pronounce this hurricane, you have to roll the R's just like I did. Say it with me. Umberto. Umberto. That's how you pronounce. I just do it because I can do it. I know not everybody can roll their R's. with their tongue. It's hard to do. But anyway, it is going to go, and I'll show you. Look, it's going to it's going to stay major hurricane strength, a 3 or higher, and curve around Bermuda and then weaken as a hurricane as we head into next week. So it's a fish storm. It's not going to hurt anybody. But let's go back and talk about Tropical Cyclone 9, which, if it continues to gain strength, it would become Tropical Storm Imelda. That's the next name on the list. And as you can see, potentially it's going to have impact on the East Coast, Southeast Coast. And yes, it is forecast to maybe become a hurricane by Monday. And it looks like it's aiming right for Charleston, South Carolina. Let me see if I can get a different view. Yeah. So here is Umberto. And then here is Imelda. All right. So the two are kind of working in tandem out there. Here we go with the path of what could become Imelda. Tropical depression, maybe tropical storm, then a hurricane, possibly by Monday evening, and then quickly down to tropical storm strength as it moves right there about where Charleston, South Carolina is. So, folks along the East Coast are paying attention. If you've got family and friends there, this is not going to be a Katrina. This is not going to be a Helene that happened exactly 1 year ago. It's not going to be that. It's going to be weaker, but it could produce some very heavy rain and flooding and something that's worth keeping an eye on. Well, let's go to the maps and see how these systems are going to affect maybe Kentucky. All right. So I'm going to skew the view here just a little and push. Here's Bowling Green where the hand icon is, further left on your screen. And then here is the upper low. And then Imelda is off in the ocean here. So this is right now. Here is tonight, early in the morning, patchy fog, as you can see for us, rain, the Virginias, the Carolinas, that upper low as it tries to interact with the tropical system. This is something that bears watching, because if there's a lot of interaction, it could throw some of that moisture into Kentucky. And I think some of it may even spill over into the Cumberland Plateau. We'll just have to wait and see. Here's Saturday morning, patchy dense fog, but otherwise a sunny day tomorrow. Here's tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then Sunday. Come on. Let's go back. Sunday, there we go. High pressure and control for us, and that keeps us dry. Where's Imelda? Here she comes. Look at there. Tropical storm, maybe depression into a tropical storm, and then kind of going up just east of the Florida coast, East Coast, Space Coast, as they call it, because of Cape Canaveral. Here we go into Monday. High pressure out in the Azores and near Bermuda. And then look, this would be Umberto, and this would be Imelda. All right. So Imelda closes in. You've got this frontal boundary interacting, and then you've got high pressure. And then you've got Umberto causing what we call the Fujiwara effect. It's kind of where these two systems spin counterclockwise together and cause a little dance to go on. We'll see if that interaction actually happens, because it could have a lot to do with where Imelda ends up going. All right. There may be a little inverted weak trough over central Kentucky. This is on Monday. We'll see. But for now, we're going to keep it dry. Here we go into Tuesday morning. Notice here is Imelda coming on shore. So we've got the front interacting with Imelda. It will quickly downgrade, but it will carry a lot of rain with it. Just how much rain would it throw maybe back into Kentucky is the big question. For now, we've got Tuesday dry and Wednesday and Thursday, but this could change. Here's next Friday. Not much going on. So right now, the at least the surface fronts, the surface maps, the synopsis is what we call it. They're not picking up on that moisture coming our way, but it is a possibility. The more we get into the weekend, the beginning of next week, we'll take a look and we'll have a better fix on that. Otherwise, here's your model blender. The blender looking good here. Temperatures running only a few degrees above normal. Low 80s tomorrow, mid 80s Sunday, Monday, then back to the low 80s into the middle of next week. And some of this, at least in a few of the models, is picking up on some of that rain chance. Some of the rain from Imelda possibly getting thrown back into our area. Maybe. That's a big maybe. But then look after that. Look at these upper 70s to near 80. Lows in the 50s. This is next week, the beginning of October. The beginning of October is next Wednesday. You didn't realize it was that close, did you? It is. It is that close. Next Wednesday is wow. It is the 1st of October, and that is when the statewide burn ban goes into effect for every county, every zip code, every area code, not just the 270, every bit of it. Everybody goes under that blanket fall burn ban. And there's no way to get around that because we're going into the driest part of the year with the most amount of what they call fuels on the ground. That would be weeds, woods, anything like that that could just quickly burn, grasses. Yeah, there you go. All right. You guys have a great weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Get out and enjoy it. There's plenty to do around Southern Kentucky and in the 270. Thank you for watching on this Friday night. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.